Game 3 of the FIFA Draft. Still keeping the same players where they were. Seems to be working. Lineker in the midfield, just got a reprieve, just going to give it another go. Concentrate a little bit more on the general presentation of this mode and maybe where they could take it. I think there's some missed opportunities for really pushing the draft mode. I think this idea of 4 matches, got to win them all to get the best reward. It's flawed. I'd really like to hear about the other matches. I'd like to be set up as a tournament, so there's this idea of something else happening in the world bigger than just the match I'm playing in. So I can maybe hear about the fact that Manchester United just scored, so they're probably a likely opponent in the final. I'd like to see the table, the tournament tree in between games, so I can sort of plot my path and see how others are going. Get that feel of a FIFA World Cup going in these 1.5 hour increments.
Here's an opportunity with the ball over the
time. He's missed it. So yeah, that would be a way to make the mode feel a little bit more impactful. I think all the pageantry stuff that they've got already for Champions League games and finals of cups and things like that, they could definitely just trigger that for semis and finals, and here basically use the code they've got for the cups and give it more of a sense of occasion for these sort of games. Oh wow, just thought I'd take a shot. Let's enjoy this one. It looked like it went to the corner. Sometimes that's a little bit deceiving. Look if they've got a good angle on it.
A strike of awesome power from an awesome player.
Well, I don't think he'll score many better than that.
Just bad keeping, I guess. Again, a better keeper would have dived more sideways rather than.
He knew it was going in.
Yeah, over the top of it.
So the first goal, it's 1-0.
What else on this mode? I think possibly the commentary could be a little bit more focused on the fact that it's this thrown together all-star team. I don't know what sort of in-game fiction you could do to explain that, and some of the times that can feel a little forced if you do that with an in-game fiction, talking about some sort of all-star team that's been pulled together, or but grounding something in reality is never a bad idea, even if it is tongue-in-cheek, acknowledging the ridiculousness of Lineker and Best and Messi and Ronaldo all playing together. But I think FIFA's a little bit too wrapped up in being this realistic sort of game with all the licenses on one hand, and not really acknowledging that one of the key things that they're pushing is this ultimate team, which is a mismatch of players, which is unrealistic, but they don't lean into it far enough for the fun factor. Completely aside from this, I would love to see a mode that puts 1 or 2 versions, sweetly tucked away, of a particular player against another team of just that player. So the classic Nike ad with Rooney playing keeper and striker. So have a team of all Rooneys against a team of all, I don't know, anybody. Beckham, Scholes, whatever. See how that go. Decide Messi versus Ronaldo by playing 11 Messis against 11 Ronaldos. I think Ronaldo might have an advantage in the air there. But try it. Let me play that. Set that up as a challenge. A chipped header that seemed to work. So for modes like this, have some more fun with it. Why not allow multiple players? There's obviously some filtering happening here, but you can't get multiple versions of the same player, even different versions of the same player. But why not? Let that be set by the user at start mode as a toggleable thing. Yes, I want to be able to have multiple players. Have drafts that are limited in some way, silver or bronze only draft. Certain limitations so that the decisions are a little bit more agonising. If you're picking between your 5 players, that, yep, this player is better, but am I going to be able to get enough together to meet the 5 different clubs rule, or the 4 from the same nation rule? Now they use a lot of these rules already in the SBCs and the squad-based challenges, where you've got squad builder challenges, where you've got to use all the spare players that you've acquired over all your games in squad battles and all the other ultimate team modes, and put together a squad according to certain restrictions. So you might need an average strength of 80. You can't use more than 2 players from each club, and you've got to have a chemistry of 99. So it means you get a little bit creative with picking players from different clubs, but that are otherwise linked. And that might be fun in a draft mode, where you've got to do that not over the course of weeks and weeks of grinding and building and buying players, but over the course of a bunch of quick decisions from 5 players. And you could have a pretty steep penalty if you don't meet the requirement, like a chemistry drop of 20 over the board, or scribbled around it. That never works. He's lost it again. But yeah, there's a lot of things you can do with this mode to dress it up and to make it a little bit more front and center. I mean, one of the key things, is the simple thing, is the rewards. As I said a couple of times, the rewards don't scale for difficulty. I could play this on amateur mode and put the controller down after being up 3-0, and I would get the same rewards as playing it as I am on professional, or if I turned it all the way up to the hardest difficulty, struggled through that, miraculously somehow won it, I'd still get the gold pack with 3 rares and a 26 pack with 7 rares. And that doesn't make any sense to me. You need to be rewarded differently on the difficulty. Tried to chip that back over the defender. I don't know, I should have just shot it, but trying weird stuff again. What sort of stands out is why this mode is fun. I guess your mistakes, like a roguelike, your mistakes don't last that long if you've drafted poorly, or you don't enjoy your team. Honestly, with only 15,000 coin entry fee, you can just abandon the mode and draft again until you get a team that you want to play. So yeah, lack of permanence, because that's not it. It's more, yes, that roguelite element of well, I tried that, I learned some things, and I'll try something different next time. Just try and concentrate on this attack for once. Let's go long, chipped through ball, and it's always fun to try and ping those punches straight back in while the keeper's out of position. I think earning badges and kits and things like that for how you do in the draft would be a great way to make the mode more interesting as well. So yeah, rewarding hat tricks, keeping record of your best performances and players in drafts. Like I've done, I don't know, maybe 10 drafts now, and I've kind of forgotten the first couple of teams that I formed, but I was excited about them when I formed them. So a reminder once in a while of that 9-0 win I had, where Messi and Ronaldo each had a hat-trick, would be kind of fun. And maybe one-off chances to play as that team again. I don't know how you would randomise that or make that happen once in a while, but surely like a flashback, but not a flashback to something that doesn't mean anything to you, a flashback to something that you did. So, remember this time last month you had this team and you lost in the final. Well, here's a one-off chance to fix that as a special treat. Anything that tracks the user and makes stories based on what the user did and recognises stories on what the user did is great. And I think you can have these little self-contained little chapters with these 4 games, and it doesn't have to be 4, but I do like the hour and a half sort of upper time limit. Kind of works. So maybe those 4 games can be some sort of a tournament
Best.
or
Trying to pick out someone in the centre.
more
And he banked it
more
away.
round robin, so you get your butt kicked early on, but then you can come back and
Punch away by the goalkeeper from the cross.
yeah, not sure. I haven't thought that all the way through.
Charon Cherry. Untidy work. That's over the top of the defender. One to chase. Shoots! Keeper might be needed again. He didn't hang on to the ball.
See, I've gone silent, trying to concentrate on the game for a bit,
Well,
which is a good sign that the game's got my attention again. But it's harder than I thought to try and keep a coherent
His possession.
flow of thoughts going while playing the game.
At least for the moment.
And it doesn't have to be coherent. It doesn't
Good vision here.
have to be a constant flow, but
Teammates in the middle.
I think just watching somebody play a meaningless draft game is a little bit boring, so try and find something to talk
Well, the
about.
wide man can
Let's,
show his skills
let's get
here.
Piero a long-range shot here.
And he's shot on now. 20 minutes of the 90 still to play. Quick-witted. Quick in his movement too to intercept there. Here's Alexandra. This lad, Alan, he reminds me of Barry Horn, a former Welsh international, had a first-class honours degree in chemistry.
Yeah, this bit of commentary has always annoyed me. It's such a stretch link to talk about a real player and a chemistry degree to try and link into this very artificial video game idea of chemistry between the players.
Take the challenge here.
And I guess that's the problem with all sorts of repeated commentary, that maybe it's half clever the first time you hear it, but
The
the 10th time it feels very
Can't get near him,
forced
can they?
of trying to make video game things seem relevant.
Chase it behind. Slipping it through. That's the third, the hat-trick.
Look,
It's a day he'll never forget.
I really like
Say it's so one-sided today, but
commentary
all
that
credit to the
was
team.
updated
Backing up
throughout
the goal. Nothing
throughout
so
the
far
real
in
life
this game
season,
to
and I know that's
surprise us.
expensive, and I know that's difficult to do,
The margin that they lead
but I
by.
know other sports
It's not always
titles
easy
have done
coming
it.
into a game and everyone's expecting you to
And
get
one
a
of my
handful, but they
favourite things
get
in
their
the
focus
FIFA series was
aside
one of the
and
World Cup
take
games
chances,
had
especially when they've popped up.
podcasts that played in the background during the menus that referred to the real World Cup as it was happening, and I think it had commentary that reflected what had happened in the real World Cup as well, and that was magical. That using the video game to tell you about what was happening in the real world. And look, it's probably only doable for big events like the World Cup because everybody's watching it at the same time, like live or close to. Otherwise, you'd have to turn all that off just to a third spot.
Slip through.